Hey everyone, it's Salty, and I'm back. I hope you're all doing well out there. I hope you're all washing them hands, keeping them clean, keeping them nails clean, and staying indoors, and just following basic directions, which some people seem to have trouble with. But most of my baseball card stores have been closed. I'm guessing it's that way, around the country, and it sucks, but it is what it is. The only place I really have to buy baseball cards right now is Target and Walmart, and I'm avoiding those places like the plague, no pun intended. But I figured today would be a good time to feature a couple of one-of-ones, if you will. I don't have very many one-of-ones, but I do have a couple. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because these are a couple of cards that I made when I was about 10 years old. As I've mentioned on the channel previously, I am a graphic designer and illustrator by trade now. And these are some of my earliest graphic design projects. I think I made these when I was about 10. It looks like I made these in 1988, and I'm guessing I made this around 1989, so I was like 9 or 10 years old when I made these. But I was so into baseball cards when I was a kid that I used to make my own cards, and these are a couple that I found in my old childhood home. Last time I visited my parents, who are also doing well with coronavirus precautions, thank goodness. But yeah, I found these in my old childhood home, and I was kind of shocked that I still had them, to be honest, and that they're in terrible condition by typical baseball card standards. But as far as something that old that was just sitting in my closet, I'm kind of surprised that it survived that long. So the first one we'll look at here is Jose Canseco I made. And like I said, based on some of the handwritten stats that I wrote, it looks like 87. So it looks like I made this around 88 or so, which would have put me at about 9 years old. So yeah, if you were anything like me when you were a kid, if you were a boy around that age, around late 80s, Jose Canseco was the guy. Him and Bo Jackson were my two favorite athletes growing up, and until Bo really came along, like a little bit later on than Bo, I think a year or two after them, than Jose. Jose was my guy. He was the 40-40 guy. I had the posters on my wall, and I literally cut out a photo from the newspaper and his name from the photo, and it looks like I glued it to an index card. And then I used, it looks like Crayola marker to give it a little pizzazz, a little design aesthetic, if you will. And then I hand wrote all of his stats on the back. And then to top it all off, to make it really legit, I covered it in contact paper. So to this day, it survives. Most newspaper print this old does not survive. I think the contact paper is really kind of keeping it from really fading out and disappearing. But yeah, it's one of a kind. It's something I made when I was a kid. And I thought you guys would get a kick out of it just because there's so little baseball card action going on, at least in my life, while this pandemic is on. So that's Jose. And the other player I was very into when I was a kid, coming from Chicago, I was a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan and still am, Jeremy Roenick. And I figure I made this around 1989, like I said, or 90. He was probably a second-year player, judging from this photo. It was like maybe not his rookie year, but maybe a second or third year. No stats, unfortunately, on the back of this one. Again, I cut a picture out of the newspaper for the photo and hand wrote everything using, looks like, again, Crayola markers. And then I glued it to an index card. Let's pop this open. Not exactly worried about the condition of these. I'm just kind of into the sentimental value I get from them. It looks like it covered everything with tape, again, to make it legit, just like the Jose card. Looking at this, I'm guessing I was making a series of 8 cards, Roman numerals, because I'm classy, the Elite 8. And I'm guessing I would have had other Blackhawks players, my 8 favorites. I was planning to make cards. And if you look, here's like a standard Donnie baseball card, who also was one of my favorites back in the day. But if you look, I got the height pretty much right. It's just the width that didn't quite make it. It would have been maybe a full bleed if I trim it. I've toyed with the idea of just trimming this just to make it, card size, but I don't even want to mess with it. I just want to preserve it how it is. I think it's kind of funny that this, along with Jose, survived to this day. But yeah, I figured you guys would get a kick out of these. Again, let me take Jose out real quick. Figured you guys would get a kick out of these. Not for sale. You understand? Not for sale, not for $1 million, maybe for $1 million. But these just, they really take me back to a time when I was just a kid and I loved certain athletes and sports and baseball cards, and I was just into art. So I can kind of see how I turned out the way I did. So anyway, I hope you like these. If you want to check out, pause the handwritten stats and get a kick out of, looks like the ink is all bleeding. I don't know if you can even read those. Jose Canseco. And JR. So yeah, I hope you like these, and stay safe, everybody. Wash them hands, like I said, and I'll catch you later.